Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Tom Campbell, Director at the Met, and I'm delighted to announce that, as of today, the Metropolitan Museum of Art is making all images of public domain artworks in the collection available for free and unrestricted use. This updated policy is known as open access, and it facilitates the use of more than 375,000 images of public domain works of art for both commercial and scholarly use. This is yet another important step forward in providing access to our collection, which is made up of 5,000 years of masterpieces spanning in date from ancient to contemporary and originating from cultures around the world. With this step, the Met now becomes the largest and most diverse open access museum collection in the world. I have to say, personally, I find this quite amazing. 20 years ago, as a scholar here, we had to negotiate access to some of our collections, even to see the catalogue cards. Now it is all out there available for scholars and for general use. Increasing access to the collection has been a key priority for well over a decade here. During this time, we have digitized over 440,000 works from the collection and made these accessible online, launched the much heralded Timeline of Art History, and developed a number of other innovative digital series and resources that provide insight into the collections through the eyes of artists, curators, and many others. This new open access initiative demonstrates our desire to adapt our practices in order to best meet the needs of 21st century audiences. We're very excited to share with the public this new pathway to creativity, knowledge, and ideas. I'll hand over the microphone in a moment to Loic Talon, the museum's Chief Digital Officer, who will go into more depth about the policy and partnerships we have in place to maximize open access. But before he does, I'd like to take a moment to thank the guests that are here with us today, and especially Ryan Merkley of Creative Commons, Catherine Meha of Wikimedia Foundation, and Ron Guthrie of Art Store and Ithaca. And thank you also to Bloomberg Philanthropies, who've been such a strong supporter of our digital initiatives. Their continued generous support makes so much of what we do possible in the digital area and beyond, including, as of today, this open access initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to do a little overview of the policy, the new partnerships, and then I'll hand over to some of our partners from Creative Commons, Wikimedia Foundation, and Art Store to talk a little bit about what this means to them. Needless to say, we're super excited about this announcement that today, the Metropolitan Museum of Art is making its collection open access under CC0. It's a small thing. It's a small little logo in the corner there, but it means so much to this museum. It really changes the paradigm in terms of how we share our collection. What it means is all those images, all those artworks we were seeing this morning as you're having your coffee, all these artworks and more are now available to share unrestricted. So whether you are an artist, a designer, student, teacher, hobbyist or professional, creator, maker of any kind, you now have 375,000 images from the Met's collection to use for however you choose to use them. It's a really great milestone. And I want to build a little bit on what Tom was saying about the collection. It's an incredible collection, and we believe we have something in this collection that can inspire every single person in the world. It really is a global collection. Our aim in digital is to create those connections. The open access policy and the partnerships we're setting up today bring us closer to that goal. So what is it exactly that we are making available? Well, it's the images, 375,000 of them in total. And this number, as Tom said, represents an incredible body of work that's been built up over years by curators, conservators, fellows, archivists, librarians, technologists, over the 147 years history of this institution. It really is an incredible body of work, all digitized and all now available to be used unrestricted. And cataloging the collection is something we do as an ongoing basis in this museum. Last year alone, we added 18,000 new images of objects in the public domain to the online collection. And these images and every image we take from this point forwards of public domain objects will be available to be used unrestricted. Where can you find them? Well, the collection online, metmuseum.org. I've got here the page from the collection online. To make it easier to find those images, we made some changes to the website. We've actually added a filter on the left-hand side, which allows you to search now by public domain artworks. So to give you an example, if you were to search for, say, I'll choose unicorns. Search for unicorns and filter on the left-hand side by public domain artworks. You'll see the 121 results that come up of public domain artworks in the collection relating to unicorns. You can see the tapestries, of course, at the top. If you go into the unicorn is found tapestry, you can see now we're highlighting that this artwork is public domain. The image can be downloaded under CC0. And of course, if you do download the image, and I cannot encourage you enough to do so, the images really are spectacular. They're up to 4,000 pixels wide, and you can start zooming into them, as I have here, and do many times, and really see the beauty of these artworks. They really are stunning images. Alongside the images, we're also making available the data about the collection. We're actually making the data available about the entire collection, which has been digitized, so 440,000 works. And the data we're talking about is the essential data about the artwork. The titles, the artist names, the dates, the dimensions. It's everything you find on the collection online in this box here. It's available on all the pages. We're making that available in a CSV. So I'm getting a little technical here, but it's the most accessible format you can use to dive into data. We're putting it all onto GitHub. The link will be in the press release. But for those of us in here that are data geeks, and I can see a couple already, this is a goldmine. From here, you can really start searching the breadth and depth of the collection, finding new patterns in the collection, and exploring it in the most accessible way possible. Now, all this information I've just given about the images and about the data has been summarized on our website. If you go to our website, metmuseum.org/open-access, I'll give that URL again at the end, metmuseum.org/open-access. All the information about this new policy, the partnerships is available here. If you're somewhat daunted, as I am sometimes, by looking into 375,000 images, there's quite a body there. We've given on this page some useful starting points and little thematic sets that will help you dive into the public domain artworks. I want to say a little bit more about the fact that we chose to use CC0 for this initiative. Going into open access, when you think about making the collection more accessible, we wanted to use a license which was as unambiguous as possible. We wanted it to be simple, easy to use. We wanted it to be machine readable, internationally recognizable. And to that degree, Creative Commons and the CC0 license have been fantastic to work with. Creative Commons have been a fantastic partner in this project. They've really helped make it possible. Ryan will come up in a little bit and say a little bit more about what this initiative means to the Creative Commons community. But from our side, we're really grateful to them for their support in making this possible. What it also does for us, which is exciting, is the fact that we are using a Creative Commons license, the fact that it is so widely used. It allows a museum to start building up new partnerships with institutions that also use a Creative Commons license for their content. Creative Commons is already used by organizations such as Wikipedia, Wikimedia Foundation, YouTube, Flickr, TED. This gives us access into those groups. It allows us to build new partnerships. I've spoken a little bit about Creative Commons already. There are 4 other partnerships we're announcing today that I want to share with you. These partnerships, the way I see them is that if we are going to reach the world of our collection, if we believe we have a global collection that can reach the world, we need to start putting our collection in those places that people already go for their doses of inspiration, creativity, and ideas. This is a way of making sure that people can find the collection in those places they go already. And if from there they start digging down to our collection, to the museum's website, we'll be delighted. But we can't take the starting point that you have to come to the website as start one. So these are the partners. I'll talk a little bit about each of them. I'll start with the Wikimedia Foundation and the Wikimedia community as a whole. These groups are best known for Wikipedia, which is kind of one of the top 10 most visited websites in the world. But more broadly, it's frankly an incredible group, incredible global movement of people working on free educational resources around the world. A few months ago, we welcomed Richard Nipel, our first Wikimedian in residence. I want to give a wave. Rich has been working with us and collaborating with fellow Wikimedians around the world to bring the Met's content to the Wikimedia Commons and, to use his term, wikify the Met and metify the wiki. We're delighted to start seeing the Met's highest quality images start appearing online, and we're really grateful for the support that he and everyone in the Wikimedia community has provided. We're also announcing today a partnership with ArtStore. ArtStore's mission is to improve teaching and learning through the use of digital, and ArtStore is used today by more than 1,700 educational institutions around the world to access educational resources. We're working with ArtStore to put all our images, all our data, onto the site and make it available to where those educational communities go already for their content. In this way, we're extending the collection into the educational community of students, teachers, and lecturers. Additionally, as part of our work with ArtStore, our content is being channeled to DPLA, which stands for Digital Public Libraries of America. It's a really fantastic project aimed at providing public access to digital holdings from libraries, archives, and museums to create a large-scale digital public library. It really is a fantastic spot to find content. We're very proud to have a collection there as well. And finally, our social media partner. This is a website that already 150 million people go to each month for their inspiration. We want the collection to be part of that space. We want people to be inspired by the collection on Pinterest. You already start seeing on Pinterest as of today some of our artworks being uploaded to our boards there, some of our CC0 works, where they can be used and built upon there. There's a number of different themes. I encourage you to take a look. So those are our partners. And I'd like to hand over now to our guests who are here today from Creative Commons, from ArtStore, and from the Wikimedia Foundation to say a little word. I'll start by introducing Ryan Merkley, CEO of Creative Commons.
Thank you, Loic, and thank you, Tom. So maybe I'll just be the first one to say this is a huge deal. This is a big deal. And I'm incredibly happy to be here to celebrate with all of you. What the Met has done today is a remarkable act of leadership and a bold commitment to the values that built the museum. To connect people to creativity, knowledge, and ideas. That's the mission of the Met. And while the building is vital to those ends, the Met's digital impact is going to be far, far greater. By sharing this incredible collection online and without restriction, the Met is tearing down the barriers that restrain access to creativity and knowledge and hamper innovation. Instead, it's pushing the collection beyond the walls of the museum, allowing 5,000 years of history and art to inspire those who will create the masterpieces and the innovations of the future. And we believe that knowledge is the most valuable thing that we have to give. We are so quick to question the costs of things, but often unwilling to explore their value. But the value is so much more important than the cost. The public domain is the grand sum of freely available knowledge of human creativity that we built together over centuries. Not only is it ours to enjoy, but also to build upon and use, and the CC0 dedication allows that to happen. But all too few have access to these works. So over 6.5 million people stepped through the doors of the Met last year. That experience is impossible to replicate. Each of us can think of a time that we were inspired by seeing a great work up close, the size, the color, the detail. But most of the world is never going to get that chance. Poorer communities here in the US and around the world will never have the opportunity to stand where we are today and to tour the museum in person. The Met has done something remarkable by sharing openly to create the conditions that will allow anyone to experience these works through new media online. High-resolution prints that you can stand with up close, 3D scans that you can touch and feel, virtual reality, and more. This is not about making the collection free. It's about advancing the human cause of equity and access to everyone to the greatest works of history, to connect people to creativity, knowledge, and ideas. It is my great hope that today's announcement will set the bar for institutions seeking to serve the public and encourage them to follow suit with their own collections. Now, CC is known for the CC licenses. It's a set of simple tools that let anyone share their work under standard permissive terms. There are over 1.1 billion licensed works in the world. Our goal is to support a vibrant, usable commons powered by collaboration and gratitude, and today's announcement supports just that. But that work has also taken us beyond licenses and into new territory. So as part of this announcement, we're working towards the goal of creating a more usable commons by sharing for the first time a beta of our new CC search tool. which indexes today about 1% of the commons, or about 10 million images, including 200,000 images released by the Metropolitan Museum of Art today. We're releasing CC Search today as a beta and inviting users to try it out, including our list-making features so they can create their own sets, and the simple one-click attribution to make it easier to give credit to the source for their generous work and sharing. We set up a dedicated link to let people search the Met's collections directly at ccsearch.creativecommons.org/themet. Finally, I just want to give my gratitude and appreciation to the staff here at the Met, who have put in hundreds of hours of work over many years to pull this together, and there is much more to do, and we will be there with you throughout. On behalf of Creative Commons and the CC communities in over 100 countries around the world, we congratulate you on this incredible achievement and look forward to working with you in the coming years. Thank you, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Ryan. I'd next like to introduce Catherine Ma from the Wikimedia Foundation. Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the Met for having us here today. Thank you to Tom and to Loic for your incredible leadership on this. Ryan has said much of what I would also want to express. The Wikimedia Foundation stands for many of the same values. We believe in a world in which every single human can freely share in the sum of all knowledge. And what we see today is a tremendous leap forward in the sharing of knowledge and shared human heritage. We heard earlier that 6.5 million people walk through these doors, and it is an unbelievable experience. I'll never forget the first experience I had. And yet, there are so many of us who will never have this opportunity. Here we are in one of the world's great cities, one of the world's most open cities, with one of the world's leading cultural institutions. And this is an act of leadership today, an act of leadership in opening up this incredible collection to not just the millions who walk through these doors, but the hundreds of millions who will never have that chance. We are thrilled not just at the artwork that is being opened up today, but what the implications are for our shared history and culture. At the Wikimedia Foundation, you are probably familiar with the projects of Wikipedia. Wikipedia receives around, and the Wikimedia projects receive around 1 billion unique devices visiting us every single month. That means 1 billion devices that are going to now have the opportunity to engage with this tremendous content. It means 300 people from 300 different languages and every continent on the planet will have access to this tremendous collection. We are so proud of the collaboration that we're going to see going forward today. 375,000 images are just the start. There's an incredible team of curators, artists, historians here. We can't wait for the world to join you so that your collection is curated, annotated, shared by the public as well, by those hundreds of millions of people who will find themselves reflected in your art. I was inspired today to learn that as we went about preparing for this launch, that our Wikimedian in residence, Richard, who you were introduced to before, came across an object in the collection. It's a small golden frog from, I'm going to get this wrong, the Chiriqui culture, is that right? Which is in today's Panama and Costa Rica. Now, in doing the research into this image, as Richard went to catalog it in Wikimedia Commons and Wikidata, what he found was that there was only one article about this culture on all of Wikipedia's 300 different languages, and it was in Polish. So today is not an opportunity just to introduce your collection to the world. It is an opportunity for you, for all of us really, to be able to use this collection to understand our own history better, to understand the gaps in our knowledge, to find and illustrate them, and in hope to lead us into exploring what it is that we know about ourselves, what it is that we don't know about ourselves, and to fill in those missing records, to fill them in not just with words, but to fill them in with the images that we can relate to and the tremendous experience that that is. We are thrilled today to be here celebrating this opportunity, and we cannot wait to work with you into the future. Congratulations to all of you on this tremendous act of leadership. We urge and encourage many other institutions to follow in your footsteps. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And finally, I'd like to introduce Kevin Guthrie of Artstore to have a word.
These are tough acts to follow. I am very, very grateful and honored to be here, and want to also thank Tom, and everyone at the Met for their leadership and the great comments that preceded mine. I also want to thank the Met for the amazing partnership that we've had with Ithaca and with Artstore now for over a decade. We're honored to support this bold initiative, and we look forward to many more years of successful collaboration. We're also pleased to be working alongside Creative Commons, Wikimedia, DPLA, Art Resource, and Pinterest to make these invaluable cultural assets more widely accessible and useful. Enabling digital access is a relatively small step on top of generations of works that has preceded it. It takes more than just the platform and the will to share the content. It takes the stewardship of the collection and expertise of the curatorial staff, decades of curation, conservation, and scholarship that put us in this position now with digitization to take advantage of global networks to extend access in ways that have never been possible before. I want to recognize that the work of the Met and its staff over many, many years to make this day possible. But enabling broader access is just a beginning. The amount of information available to us digitally now is effectively infinite. So the challenge of helping these digital resources have important and positive cultural impact is substantial. I want to commend the Met for understanding that and for looking for so many partners to move their content into workflows of people that use these types of content. We're proud to be one of the Met's chosen partners to help with that important work. Hundreds of thousands of students use Ithaca resources in their work every day. Our emphasis here is to make it easy for scholars, researchers, and students to find and use these images in their work. By integrating these open access Met images into the other resources that they are already using, we can broaden and deepen the impact of these works. At Ithaca, our aim is to build sustainable resources that expand access to knowledge and education. We look forward to working with the Met and the other partners here to make that vision a reality for these invaluable cultural assets. As Ryan and Catherine pointed out, it's the work that's going to go on top of these images that's going to make all the difference in the world. We're happy to be one of those partners, but we look forward to joining other collaborators in making these knowledge assets even more valuable to the world community. Thank you.
So, thank you to our partners again for all their work on this. It really is, I mean, it's wonderful to hear your perspectives on this. We're really excited by making our collections available on your platforms, increasing access to them, and we do just see it as step one. This is a change in terms of how the museum makes its collection accessible, and we're really excited how this will grow over the coming weeks, months, and years. I also have to say thank you to all the team at the museum who's worked on this. It's been an incredible team effort. Frankly, over the entire history of the museum, this is the data that's being made available. And to the team over the last few months, it's been pretty tireless in getting this possible in digital and across the museum. So thank you to everyone. And thank you also to Bloomberg Philanthropies just for their ongoing partnership and support to digital in this museum. It's been phenomenal support, generous support, and we're really grateful for everything they do for us. So with that, that's a wrap. I thought I'd open up to any questions for either myself or any of the partners. Yes.
You call this step one. Nationally and internationally, what other museums are undertaking similar projects?
Undertaking those that are not yet announced, I don't know. So I'll just focus on those that we are aware of. I mean, open access is certainly something that is having increasing profile among cultural institutions. There are institutions who have done open access initiatives of their own. I mean, I write a blog post which is going live later on today, and I reference projects like MoMA, the Smithsonian Cooper Hewitt across the road, Rijksmuseum, and the SMK Museum in Denmark, which are three museums I feel who have led the way. What I think is different about this initiative is, frankly, the breadth of the collection and the use of the CC0 license for it. I think the fact that our collection is so global and we're using such an unambiguous license and then working with partners to make sure that we amplify the effect of that is what distinguishes this project from the others that are there. Yeah, please.
Does this license mean that these images are available also for commercial applications?
They're being made available for both commercial and non-commercial use. Oh, yeah, please.
So this is tremendous that all of these things are going to be available.
Yep.
And in a way, it's a kind of passive thing to make them available, and linking up with these different organizations who begin to project them, but what other, can you talk a little bit more about how you're optimizing the likelihood that they will be found?
It's a really good question. Like, there is making them available, and then step 2 is making sure they get to as wide an audience as possible. On that second component, I mean, the museum can be really responsible for part 1. We can make everything available as easily as we can, as accessibly as possible. When it comes to increasing access, we need to work with the community to achieve that. We can't do it all ourselves. I think that's part of a paradigm shift we're going through here in working with partners like Wikipedia, Wikimedia Foundation, Wikimedia Communities, working with partners like Creative Commons, with ArtStore. And there are going to be many more now who start seeing this actually as a source of content and want to be able to share it. So I don't think we actually as a museum can come up with the answer of how do we find every single way of sharing the collection. I think it would be very difficult for us to do that. What we can do is say, hey, this is the collection. It's now accessible. It's unambiguous. You can use it. We want you to use it. Have fun. Let's go. I mean, I'm really excited to see what people start doing with the collection. And I'm sure people will come up with ideas that we hadn't thought of at all. And that's what kind of excites us here. Yeah.
What percent of the Met's collection is this?
So it's everything that has been digitized. So it's 440,000 works, which are being made, the data is being made available, and every single image of a public domain work, which is about 200,000 artworks. The collection as a whole is around just over 1.5 million objects. As we continue digitizing the collection, it's an ongoing pursuit. We will be adding those objects to the body of content that we have available here. But pretty much everything you see up in the galleries has been digitized. It's a really fantastic resource. So it's a significant proportion, I would say.
It's perhaps worth adding that this really represents the main body of our collections. What is not yet digitized are about 500,000 prints and engravings and about 500,000 pieces of other kinds of ephemera, posters, postcards, that sort of thing. So there's at least 1 million more printed items. But this really is the main body of our collections, the main major artworks.
Does it include the Costume Institute pieces?
It does include the Costume Institute.
Every Costume Institute object which is public domain is available here. Okay, if there aren't any more questions, I'll say thank you again to everyone for being here. Thank you to our guests, and I hope you enjoy the collection on this new CC0 designation. Thank you, everyone.